Imagine you wake up tomorrow in the ancient world. No hospital, no doctor, no antibiotics, no painkillers, no surgery, no clean water, no safe shelter guaranteed. What would actually kill you first? Most people guess predators or starvation. The real answers are far more surprising and far more instructive about what life in the ancient world was actually like. Let's start with the single most dangerous time in all of ancient human life. And it is not what most people expect. Being a child. Studies of modern hunter-gatherer societies, which closely mirror ancient life, show that around 40 to 50% of all children died before reaching adulthood. Not from predators, not from war, mostly from infection, diarrheal disease, respiratory illness, and injuries that we would consider completely treatable today. A cut that got infected, a fever that would not break, a chest infection that spread. Any of these could and frequently did kill a child in the ancient world. If you survived childhood, your odds improved dramatically. But a whole new set of threats was waiting. Threat number one for adults: infection. Before antibiotics, any infection could kill you. A tooth abscess, an infected cut, a wound from hunting, an animal bite. Infectious diseases accounted for around 70% of deaths recorded among contemporary hunter-gatherers. 70%, not predators, not starvation. Infection, invisible, painless at first, and completely unstoppable without modern medicine. A tooth abscess alone, the kind a modern dentist fixes in 20 minutes, could cause a fatal brain infection in the ancient world. And archaeologists find them constantly in ancient remains. Ancient skeletons show healed bone infections, meaning people survived them, but they also show unhealed ones, meaning many did not. Threat number two, violence. Ancient life was significantly more violent than most people imagine. Studies of the Hiwi, a modern hunter-gatherer group in Venezuela whose lifestyle closely mirrors ancient life, found extremely high rates of death from homicide and accidents. Disputes over mates, revenge killings, territorial conflicts over hunting grounds, jealousy. These drove ancient violence, exactly as they drive modern violence. Archaeological evidence supports this. Skulls with healed and unhealed weapon wounds have been found at sites across every inhabited continent, going back hundreds of thousands of years. Violence was not rare in ancient life. It was woven into the fabric of daily survival. Threat number three, childbirth. For ancient women, childbirth was one of the single most dangerous events of their lives. No sterile environment, no surgical intervention, no blood transfusion if hemorrhage occurred, no treatment for infection that followed. Archaeological evidence shows a significant number of young adult female skeletons with pelvic injuries consistent with complicated childbirth. Maternal mortality in ancient times is estimated to have been anywhere between 1 in 101 in 10 births, depending on conditions and access to experienced help. Threat number four, predators. And here's where the reality surprises people. Predators were real. Lions, wolves, crocodiles, cave bears, giant hyenas. The ancient world was full of them, but ancient humans were remarkably effective at avoiding and defending against them. They lived in groups specifically for this reason. Fire kept predators away at night. Weapons gave them defense, and 2 million years of evolution had given them the instincts and awareness to read danger before it arrived. Predator attacks happened. People were killed. But statistically, it was far down the list of what actually ended most ancient lives. Threat number five, starvation and nutritional deficiency. Food was never guaranteed. Hunting failed. Drought wiped out plants. Seasonal change left ancient humans with almost nothing for months at a time. Ancient skeletal evidence shows clear signs of nutritional stress, periods of arrested bone growth called Harris lines, visible in the bones of individuals who survived famine periods as children. These lines tell us something important. People survived famines, but they left permanent marks on the body, marks that weakened them for the rest of their lives. Now let's talk about something that most people completely overlook, and which new research suggests was far more deadly than anyone expected. Plague. A 2026 study published in the journal Nature found evidence of plague-killing hunter-gatherers in Siberia 5,500 years ago, long before the farming settlements scientists assumed were necessary for plague to spread. These were small nomadic groups, not cities, not crowded settlements, just people living alongside marmots, large burrowing rodents that carried the bacteria. The ancient plague strains found were already highly lethal, especially for children, even without the flea transmission that would later make the Black Death so catastrophic. This discovery tells us that invisible microscopic killers were present in human life far earlier and far more lethally than anyone previously understood. So what would actually kill you first if you lived in ancient times? If you were a child, probably infection or disease before your 5th birthday. If you were a woman, the greatest risk was childbirth, followed closely by the infections that followed it. If you were a man, violence and hunting accidents were your biggest specific threats, but infection from any wound remained the underlying danger in all of them. For everyone, infection was the constant, invisible shadow behind every other threat, the thing that turned a survivable problem into a fatal one. But here is what makes this story more than just a list of ancient dangers. Ancient humans were not helpless. They were not simply waiting to die. They developed medicine from plants, they cleaned wounds, they set broken bones, they supported each other through illness. They survived generation after generation through knowledge, community, and extraordinary resilience. Every single human alive today is the descendant of someone who survived all of it. The infections, the violence, the famines, the predators, the plague. What would kill you first in ancient times? Probably something invisible, something you could not fight or outrun or prepare for.